Hola, buenos días. ¿Qué tal tú? Plática to, Capiteño. Do you know what language you just spoke in? You think it's Spanish? No, it's a different language. Spanish-based Creole language spoken in parts of the Philippines and Malaysia, the Chavacano. This time, we will talk about Pidgins and Creoles, its distribution and characteristics, and its origin. There are 3 questions that we will answer as we discuss our topic. First, where in the world are Pidgins and Creoles distributed to, or what countries speak them? Second, what are the characteristics of Pidgins and Creoles? And third, what is the origin of Pidgin and Creoles? Let's answer the first one. Where can we find Pidgins and Creoles? Pidgins and Creoles are usually found in the equatorial belt, usually those near oceans. They are spoken in the Caribbean, around the north and east coast of South America, around the coast of Africa, and across the Indian and Pacific Oceans, but are not common in the extreme northern and southern area or in the inner part of the continents. We can also link their distribution to patterns of trade, and that includes even selling and buying slaves. In 1989, Boom conducted a survey, and by 1995, Smith provided a list of 351 Pidgins and Creoles plus 115 assorted mixed languages. Hancock listed the number of Pidgins and Creoles. These include the English-based such as Hawaiian Creole, Gala or Sea Islands Creole spoken on the islands of the coast of northern Florida, Georgia and South Carolina, Jamaican Creole, Guyana Creole, Creole spoken in Sierra Leone, Saranan and Juca spoken in Suriname, Cameroon Pidgin English, Takpisin, and Chinese Pidgin English, which is now virtually extinct. Also included in his list of French-based Creoles are Louisiana Creole, Haitian Creole, Seychelles Creole, Mauritian Creole. For Portuguese-based Creole, we have Papiamento, used in Aruba, Bonaire and Curaçao, Guinea Creole, Senegal Creole, and Saramacan spoken in Suriname. In the Philippines, we have one Creole but also has variation. 700,000 people speak the Chavacano in Zamboanga, a Spanish-based Creole language that has been influenced by a number of Philippine languages. Other Chavacano dialects are found elsewhere in the Philippines, counting several 100,000 speakers among them. The most important of these Cavite is Caviteño or Chabacano de Cavite, found in the city of Cavite on Manila Bay, near the capital of the Philippines. Before World War II, Chavacan has also dominated an important neighborhood in Manila itself, but this dialect, Ermiteño, named after the Ermita district, is apparently extinct. Here is the line translated into variances of Chavacano. English: what is Gina doing? Spanish: ¿Qué está haciendo Gina? Chavacano de Cavite: ¿Costa hace Gina? Chavacano de Zamboanga: ¿Costa hace Gina? As we can observe, Chavacano de Cavite comes closer to Spanish in grammar. Chavacano de Zamboanga, we would use si, which comes from Tagalog, added to the subject if it's a person. Meanwhile, the Chavacano de Cavite uses only the name of the person without si for person, just like in Spanish.
Na encabezamiento del Magganoticias. Nivel del agua na diversion dam más ya baja pa. Mas largo hora narasyon de agua anticipaya. cuantos mga konsumidores ta reklamaya por causa hindi kasigi el Zamboanga City Water District con el schedule del rasyon de agua. Un bomba e reventana un video que barna holo sulu. Seguridad na ciudad de Zamboanga, masya afreta.
Caribbean area is of particular interest to Creoles because of the many varieties of language found there. The distribution of Pidgins and Creoles reflects its social and political history. French-based Creole in St. Lucia, which now has English as its official language. Former island of Hispaniola contains both the Spanish-speaking Dominican Republic and the French Creole-speaking Haiti. The people of Dutch Curaçao speak Papiamentu, which is a Portuguese-based Creole. Suriname, officially Dutch-speaking, has 2 or perhaps 3 English-based Creole. Suriname is the former Dutch Guyana, a country on the northeast coast of South America, with an official language of Dutch with native speakers of less than 2%. The country has 2 English-based Creoles, Sranan and Juka. Sranan, spoken in the coastal areas, is considered as conservative English Creole, while Juka, spoken by people in inland, called the Bush Negro, is descended from a Pidginized variety of English used by runaway slaves. Saramacan, another Creole, is sometimes regarded as Portuguese-based and sometimes as English-based through the process of relexification. But what is relexification? It is the mechanism of a language change by which one language replaces much or all of its lexicon with that of another language. This time, let's proceed to our next question. What are the characteristics of Pidgins and Creoles? It is difficult to resist the temptation to compare a Pidgin or Creole with the standard language with which it is associated. But each Pidgin or Creole is a well-organized linguistic system and must be treated as such. For example, the linguistic characteristic of Tok Pisin, a Creole language spoken throughout Papua New Guinea. Tok Pisin consists of only 5 basic vowels and fewer consonants than English, its base. It has no contrast in it and eat, or fin and fin, or sip, ship, and chip. Here, we can distinguish a sheep from a sheep by calling the first a sip and the second a sip-sip. It also lacks the p and f distinction that some written versions of Tok Pisin record certain words with T spellings, whereas others record the same words with F spellings. This is why there is no difference if you say one pala or one fala, which means one. Morphophonemic variation is also a characteristic of some Creole. A language like English often has complicated phonological relationships between words or morphemes, the small bits of meaning in words that are closely related. The first vowel in type and typical, the C in space and spacious, the plural ending in cats, dogs, and boxes. Such variation is not found in Pidgins, but the development of such variation may be one characteristic of creolization, the process by which a Pidgin becomes a Creole. Pidgins don't necessarily have inflections. Example, in terms of number and tense, but it is not surprising that some people view their absence as a sign of deficiency and inferiority in both languages. Chinua Achebe, a Nigerian writer, uses local varieties of English in his novels. Example is taken from A Man of the People. You see how he do as if to say, money bisansan. He was saying, people weigh the jealous the money government the pay minister will sabi say no to him, one ditch of am. Naso so way. Another example of Korean bamboo English, a Pidginized variety of English that shortly flourished during the Korean War in the 1950s. The story of Cinderella-san. Back some years ago, Scotia Cinderella-san lived in Huchi with sisters. Poor little Cinderella-san, kitschy, no fun, have no social life. Always washi-washi, scrubby, made chop-chop. We've already answered 2 of the questions. Now, we'll have the last one. What is the origin of Pidgin and Creoles? Linguists have noticed remarkable similarities among Pidgins and Creoles, even if the standard languages that serves as their basis were different. Moreover, if the base is the same, but from the distant places from each other, there still exists a high degree of intelligibility. The theory of polygenesis posits that Pidgins and Creoles have different origins, and any commonalities is from the circumstances of their origins. For example, speakers of English needed to understand and be understood when they trade with other races. Consequently, these gave rise to the varieties of Pidgin English. The simplification process of any language also produces similar results anywhere. These include a simpler set of sounds, the absence of inflection, basic syntax, short uncomplicated utterances, and many more. Factors as well are similar social contexts of their origin, similar communicative practical needs, and a shared foundation. When we say foundation, for example, the Atlantic Ocean and Indian Ocean Pidgins and Creoles have African substrate, while Pacific Ocean Pidgins and Creoles are oceanic. On the other hand, the monogenetic view postulates that the similarities among Atlantic Pidgins and Creoles force us to look into the very beginnings of the Pidginization process. For example, looking back to the beginnings of the slave trade and the existence of English and French slave forts on the west of African coast. Nautical jargon, the language of sailors, can also be an origin of Pidgins and Creoles under the monogenetic theory. It is common that crews of ships are often from different places or countries. For example, Nelson's flagship Victory was composed of sailors from 14 different nationalities. Therefore, the crew have developed a common shipboard lingua franca, or the nautical jargon. The theory of relexification, as defined earlier, supports the theory that the present European language-based Pidgins and Creoles derived from a single source, a lingua franca called Sabir, used in the Mediterranean in the Middle Ages. Later, the Portuguese relexified this language and introduced their own vocabulary into its grammatical structure, which later was relexified into Pidginized French, English, and Spanish. So that's it! We have just learned the distribution, characteristics, and origin of Pidgins and Creoles. Thank you for listening. Again, this is Sir James. Manmirahan niya lang kita, otra vez. See you!